Hey man, what if SpongeBob said the N-word? Would we laugh? I know I would. These are the questions I think about on the daily. But pretty recently, however, me and the boys were discussing this exact topic out of nowhere, like how most of our conversations go, for like 20 minutes, which ultimately came down to, bruh, imagine a video on this. That would be crazy. But not on my channel though. I'm a bitch.
Yeah, me too.
Me 3.
I'm a dog.
Whoop.
Fillmore, I'm on it.
In order to do this though, I have to do it right. I can't just come up with some contrived list of my own. I need to let the people in on this. So I set out to Twitter asking for your energy for this project of much needed information. And surprisingly enough, we hit a big number of over 100 results. So here's how it's gonna go down. This isn't one of those little tier list video formats that everyone's used to. That's way too lazy and boring for my taste. So I set everything up in categories instead. No, at least once, for sure, and avid racist. The rules are no duplicates, no blacks, and obviously it has to be a cartoon character. I'm gonna go ahead and accept anime submissions as well, considering that that's animation too. And I will also not be saying the word at all to any degree because I want this video to be enjoyed by all. It would just break my heart to have a little white kid watching this video and his mom randomly walking in as I say nigga every 5 seconds. Alright, let's see what we have here. Oh hey cool, Batista is trending. Let's get started with the top of the ranks. And based on how Twitter lets users view posts, I will be seeing my friends first before anybody else. How fair. Zach Minyard, the bear on this channel, came in with a whopping 4-image post to start everything off strong. With the submissions, Jeff from Clarence, the Problem Solvers, Carl from Aqua Teen, and weirdly obscure for him, number 86 from Kiss Next Door. He must have had a thing for Scottish girls or something. Wherever the case may be, let's categorize these guys, shall we? Let me start with Carl. As much as his character doesn't show the exact traits of a racist, but more so a guy who's easily pissed off, I would say no. However, if he was in a scenario where a black man would piss him off, I can definitely see him saying it. So I'm gonna put him in the at least once column. Number 86 has a big sack of words that she calls you with the antagonizing tone that she has, but I don't think that the N-word would be one of them, so I'm gonna say no. For sure. And Jeff, I believe, would at least say it once, on account of how much of a ticking time bomb he is with his anger. Just imagine if Clarence was black real quick. Jeff would be in the racist column if he was. Now let's move on to my boy Joey Samoe, where his entry is none other than Nicktoons classic, Ren from Ren and Stimpy. Not the most flattering picture by the way, but I digress. Now I personally believe he has made this selection because he could probably hear his exact voice saying it at this moment, which is not a bad debate. I'm sure we all could see it happening, but based on how the character is exactly, he's mainly hostile towards Stimpy than anybody. And Stimpy isn't black, I think, so there's no need for him to say the word in any sense. However, John K did make this show, so I'm gonna at least put him in the once column based off of that alone. Oh boy, it's my number one 13-year-old fan, Chilixion, coming in with a hot take that is Ed from Ed and Nettie. I'm immediately gonna say no on this one, due to the fact that I know the constant memery that this user does. Plus, look at his lovable face. He probably doesn't even know what racism means. Lyle Abner, a guy I don't know by the way, so I guess Twitter just sourced threads weird, says that these 4 characters will probably take a whack at the N-word. To which I say a definite no for Pops. He's probably only even mentioned at all because of this meme clip going around. Now you listen here, You can argue that since he's lived a long time seeing segregation and all of that jazz go down, that he will be a little loopy one day and accidentally say it, but I'm sure that we all believe that Pops knows what words are bad. Launch from the Dragon Ball series is up in the air for me, not for her saying it at all, but whether or not she's either said it once or several times. She's a very aggressive woman when she sneezes. I'm more than sure that yelling slurs or not is the least of her worries when she's literally shooting at people. So I'm gonna go ahead and put her in the for sure column. Dookie from Johnny Test has the voice for the N-word, but not the character. But I can definitely see why you would pick him. I'ma say no. And Rolf is an immediate no. He's probably never heard the word in his life. Beyond that, even if he has, it'll probably be a different variation of the word that's spoken in his foreign language. He has the voice for it though, not gonna lie. The smallest person I know, Black Geeky Girl, says that her picks are Kevin, Pearl, Parappa the Rapper, and the entirety of South Park, with an honorable mention being Mickey Mouse. Well, for starters, there's no humans in the Mickey Mouse world. This is excluding stuff like House of Mouse and Kingdom Hearts. So he doesn't really have the need to even think about the word due to it not existing. So that's a no. Kevin, in my opinion, is a weird scenario as well, considering that Johnny 2x4 is the only black character on the show. Yes, Johnny is black, click the card. But Kevin doesn't strike me as a character who would just call him the N-word outright for being annoying. He does, however, strike me as someone who will use the word on Xbox Live or something like that based off of how chatty he is. So I guess that's a no for the show's context at least. Pearl, on the other hand, has definitely said the N-word a couple of times. She gives off the vibe that she will probably get giddy by the sound of the word for the first time, and the context wouldn't even bother her either because she thinks all humans are weird anyway, so that's a for sure for me. Now, Parappa the Rapper is hilarious to think about because she pointed out that he would accidentally say it in a rap, which I can totally believe. Also, I found this clip on YouTube too.
No, nigga, I'm a pimp named Slickback.
So I'm putting him in the at least once category. For those who don't know, he's from a rhythm-based video game for PlayStation consoles. He had an anime series at one point, so he kinda counts. Everybody in South Park is kind of a stretch, but I can see where you're coming from. A grand majority of the show is obviously vulgar, but believe it or not, there's only 2 cases to my knowledge of people actually saying the word. Randy during this scene, and Mr. Garrison, who's literally just a racist. But to include the entire show's character base for this list, I guess I'll put it in for sure based on the show's track record. But if it was just Mr. Garrison, I would put him in the avid racist column, no problem. Now, one of my favorite Leia Epic memers, Mars Reviews, put down some firm picks that several people agreed with. So let's check them out. First off, we got Ralphie from the Magic School Bus. I can wholeheartedly believe this one because Ralphie was always saying some out-of-pocket stuff within the series. So maybe one day he says the N-word enthusiastically, to which everyone responds with,
Ralphie? Not cool at all. Terrible, actually.
so I will put him in the at least once column. Now, Randall's dad, oh, who am I kidding? Randall's family from the series Recess are all known to be rats. His mom is an attorney, his dad spies on the neighbors for no reason, and Randall himself snitches to the teacher any chance he gets. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if they all came to a family dinner saying the N-word behind closed doors. Matter of fact, I'm sure that they do that. I'll even mark them down as my first avid racist in this video. Randall from Monsters Inc. is a no for me. There's no humans in that world. Even if they learned it from the human world, there would be no reason for them to say it in his. Now, imagining him scaring only black kids while yelling the N-word is pretty hilarious to think about. But in any other context, I just don't see it. And lastly, Caillou's dad, Boris. Come on now, Mars, is this a joke? I'm trying to do research around here. Probably. My buddy Trent swoops in with Alistair, the radio demon from Has Been Hotel. I can understand this answer due to the vulgarness of the pilot and the fact that they're in hell, but believe it or not, Alistair has even cussed once in this thing, so your pick isn't looking so hot. But I'm gonna go ahead and say at least once, because we don't know what his character is capable of, but hopefully we'll figure out soon. Big Thick, I'm not saying that, suggests that Bill from Beastars will say the N-word. But little does he know, there's no black people in Beastars, silly! Get at it! That's a quick no. Now, Josh Peck, on the other hand, has some classic choices of his picks, starting with the Tibble Twins from Arthur. 2 characters that literally taught other kids bad words and not even knowing the meaning of it. So they would definitely be listed if they were human. So I'm gonna say no. I'm also starting to see a pattern here. The Animaniacs is a funny entry considering that I could definitely see them tricking someone into saying it and hilariously scolding them afterwards, but them actually saying the N-word isn't doing it for me with their character traits. So that's a no. So now we get to Popeye, and I can tell that you're probably very funny in person because I can literally imagine a man saying it through that fast talking thing that he does. But unfortunately, all jokes aside, let's be real here. Popeye wouldn't say the N-word, cuz it's a no from me, dog. Last but not least, we got Flip the Frog. What the, how obscure could you possibly get? For those who don't know, Flip the Frog was the first cartoon to have color and sound coming out in the early 30s. Now putting that aside, he barely even talked. Plus he was a good boy, so I'm sure that the N-word was the least of his interest. So that's one more no for you, Josh. But hey, look on the bright side. You make Tariq laugh. Oh hey look, another pearl. That's reassuring. And looky here, speak of the devil, we have How To Black himself, putting his 2 cents in the pot with his entry, Curly, from Hey Arnold. Now the more I look at this one, the more and more it makes sense to me. Curly is literally nuts in the series. So nuts in fact that there's an episode where he shoots up the entire school with dodgeballs. No, for real, I'm not making this up. The entire episode was set up like a real life scenario. It's scary. Anyway, Curly is a definite for sure for me. I could literally imagine him saying it really loud to someone, then running away. And everyone would just sit there dumbfounded and not care. Cartoon Catastrophe comes in with Tom Tucker as his selection. And you know what? I can't deny that. I actually think a grand majority of Quahog will say the N-word at least once. So Tucker saying that for the sake of edgy comedy wouldn't at all surprise me. The show has definitely been in the deep end for humor as of late anyway. It's your boy Mr. Nostalgia, and he thinks Snotty Boy from the Barnyard will use the word. And based off of how terrible of a human being he is, I can't say that I don't agree. He literally insults everyone every chance he gets. So I'm sure that the N-word is in his arsenal as well. I wouldn't call him a downright racist, but he's pretty borderline at the rate he's going. So I'm gonna go ahead and put him in the for sure column just to be safe. He also gives off the Call of Duty Xbox Kid vibe too, based off of his voice alone. Good pick. Mickey the Creep has 4 picks for us. Check out this cartoon, by the way, give him some love. And right off the bat, let me tell you that these 2 SpongeBob inserts are an immediate no from me. Like, I'm sure that racism exists in the Bikini Bottom, and these 2 have done their fair share. But as far as the N-word is involved, they literally have no reason to be saying it. I can definitely hear it in their voices and everything, but that's a stretch. And then we get to Sumo from Clarence. And even though he comes from a redneck family and all that jazz, Sumo is just a crazy kid in general and just excludes those family traits from his character. Sure, he's probably heard someone say it in the house a few times, but I don't think he personally would, so I might have to say no. His last pick is Drew Pickles from Rugrats, and you know what? I believe this one. Anytime he's frustrated, he tends to yell a lot. And you cannot tell me for 1 second that this man hasn't screamed the N-word at least once to a black man. Obviously, he will try to apologize afterwards, but the repercussions would have already ensued. Like, just imagine if Charlotte cheated with a black man on a business trip or something, and he found out. Of course he would say it. D Slim hits us with 90s classic Mandark from Dexter's Laboratory. Mandark is a racist. That's a damn fact. Not so much in the aspect of, oh well, black people eat fried chicken, but more of my race is better than your race and here's why aspect. Mandark is so in your face that it's annoying, and that voice certainly doesn't help either. Now involving the N-word into this equation is kinda interesting because he's way too sophisticated to use the word. But if he did, he'd probably make a force field or something after saying it, like this comment suggests. Hats Off Media suggests Clay Puddington, Moral's dad, from Moral Oral. Clay Puddington is an interesting character to say the least. A very laid-back dude who always teaches life lessons last minute. If anything, I'd expect Oral to say it before him, based on how optimistic he is. So yeah, that's a no from me. He cool. Demon Guard hits us up with Hugh Test, Johnny Test's father, from Johnny Test. And you know what? I could definitely see it for sure. The way that he yells at Johnny on a daily basis, hell, the way that he yells at anybody on a daily basis. It wouldn't surprise me if the N-word would just slip out during one of his rants. So, I'ma go with at least once. Cloudtune says Sheen Estevez from Jimmy Neutron will pop a racial remark. And as hot as the take as that is, I'ma have to say no. His love interest is literally black. He has no desire for the N-word in his body. But maybe if that one black kid has something foul to say about Ultra Lord, we might see a different side of him, who knows. Shade X has a doozy for us, revealing his pick to be Normal from the Garfield series. And as annoying as he appears to be, he's only really doing that to Garfield. That doesn't excuse him for being equally annoying towards blacks, however. Like, you know, the usual scenario of him annoying Garfield, knowing damn well that Garfield can mess him up at any moment. He could for sure do the same with black people, with the N-word included. He'd probably get a joy out of it for all we know. Cash has... Huh? Oh man, he didn't post a picture. Ah, you're killing me, Cash. All right, whatever. I'll give him a freebie. Cindy Vortex from Jimmy Neutron was his suggestion. And I kind of don't know how I feel about this one, considering that she's best friends with black character Libby. However, she also gives me the vibes of those smart people who explain why their race is better than yours. So I must say no just to be safe, but she will do it if she has to. Oh look, the storyteller also believes that Randall's family is suspect too. And now we move on to Chad, where he says, Binky, only he genuinely thinks that by that it will normalize the word and take away from the negative connotations. He is one of those types that ignores the history of the word. And as elaborate as the scenario is, there ain't no humans in the art world, silly. So that's an instant no. Get out of here. Carltoon says Peter Griffin from Family Guy's Funniest Moments. And disregarding the fact that there's literal proof of him saying it,
they respected me for saying it.
Automatically adding him in the at least once tier, Peter is way too dumb to give a damn about racism. Sure, he might make racist jokes like all the time, but nothing too risky to get him beat up or something. But again, going off of Family Guy's track record, we might see an edgy episode in the future called Peter Says the N-Word or something like that. Uh-oh, Hatchet Head, you silly Willy. Ruckus from the Boondocks is black. Disqualified, baby! Ooh, an anime submission. Gold Roger from One Piece. For this one, I would like to assume that all pirates are possibly racist. So I'm gonna say at least once off the bat. However, Roger was actually a nice guy, and I don't personally see that happening with his character due to that. But he is a pirate, so... Okay, so Nikki A is spicing things up again with a 4-way entry. And since I did Kevin already, let's take a look at the others, such as Doug Dimmadome from The Very Odd Parents. Yo, I'ma flat out say he's a racist. Most multi-millionaire Colonel Sanders type characters are. I can definitely see him saying the N-word 3 times fast in a speedy way he speaks, because he already knows he can buy and sell you. And next up we have Mr. Big Head from Rocko's Modern Life. And based on how he treated his now transgender son at first, I wouldn't be surprised if he yelled a hard R to any black person he sees if he's mad enough. However, Rocko's world doesn't have any humans in it, therefore that term ceased to exist. So unfortunately, I have to put him in the no column. Now, Chris Mcclain from the Total Drama series is a bit tricky for me, because one of his friends is literally a big black man. However, based on how much of a douche he is, he has to have said it at least once to Chef, right? But then Chef made sure he never stepped over those boundaries again? Sounds pretty realistic to me. Grunkle Stan from Gravity Falls. Oh, for sure he said it like at least a handful of times. You cannot tell me otherwise. I could say he's a full-on racist, but I feel that that's a bit much. He's still a bit of a heartfelt character. He's just old school, you know? Blue Regard Q Kazoo from Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. The first time I saw this selection, I immediately thought to myself, oh yeah, definitely Blue is an avid racist. But then I thought about the legitimacy of the statement. There's no cold hard evidence that he's a racist. I mean, he's an awful person, but that doesn't have much to do with race. Now, him saying the word, however, is something I firmly believe. So I'm gonna at least put him in the for sure column. He strikes me as someone who would say it nonchalantly as an insult and nothing more. Kinda how Tanamangu used to say it. Nutter Butter states that Rarity from My Little Pony would partake in the racial slur. And if it were up to me, I would for sure put her in the at least once pile. However, there ain't no humans, much less black people in that universe. Therefore, that would be a hard no by default. Jane Animations? At least once. Lord Farquaad from Shrek. And I've been waiting for this one. As I believe that Farquaad would say the word, did you know that there is not one black person throughout the entire Shrek franchise? Yeah, fun fact, right? However, if black people were to exist in that world, I'm sure that Farquaad has the N-bomb ready to go. So I'm kind of iffy on this one. Let's say for sure to be safe. Mr. No Picture here says that Muscle Man from the regular show would say the word. And for this one, I will agree with you. However, he wouldn't say the word with the hard R. He would think that that's disgusting. Him saying it with the A is more of his field. And I'm sure that everyone would agree with that.
No! If you say the N-word, you're fired!
So regarding Muscle Man, you're technically right, but wrong for the variation of the word. So, nope. Silver also suggests Yosemite Sam from the Looney Tunes, with the caption, cause literally everyone with him on their trucks has at least, which is definitely a fact. But I don't think Sam himself would be as bad as his followers. I'm not doubting he said the word, I'm doubting that he's a racist. He just hates anybody who crosses him, no matter race or animal for that matter. If it was the Sam from the Looney Tunes show, I would quickly say no because he's a sweetheart. But OG Sam, I'm gonna have to say for sure. That kind of name calling seems up his alley. Now next, someone has also mentioned Froghorn Leghorn, also from the Looney Tunes. And I have to say that I just can't imagine him actually saying it. It doesn't fit with the way he speaks. He would probably say Negro or something, but that's probably the closest we're gonna get. So I'm gonna say no for this one. Well, this is an interesting obscure turn of events. Otto here says that Angela Anaconda from Canadian series Angela Anaconda are familiarly known as that one girl from the Digimon opening. So for those who haven't seen the show, Angela is an awful person of a main character. Just think if DW from Arthur had her own series. Sure, it's entertaining, but not appealing. So I firmly believe that she would at least say the N-word once during an episode or something, where she figures out that the word is bad. But now we have the holy grail that is Frieza from the Dragon Ball series. And right off the bat, I'm sure you guys all expected it. Frieza is literally a racist. I mean, it's pretty much evident within the series by how many times he says monkey.
Hello, monkeys!
The best part is that he takes his racism with pride, and you can't tell him otherwise. Now on the subject of the N-word, he legit wouldn't know it, or what it means due to the series lore. However, I bet if you teach it to him, he will have a field day with it. McNugget over here says that Jasper from Steven Universe wouldn't mind saying an N-word or two. And you know what? I can agree with that. It feels like she wants to say slurs already when she's just talking to people. And her dislike for the human race is also there, so I'm sure if she was taught the word, it would be pretty much second nature. So I'ma say for sure. Galactabe has a list of 4 stating that Mr. Burns, Yubaba from Spirited Away, Simon from Alvin and the Chipmunks, and Mrs. Puff will each have their fair share of the dreaded gamer word. So let's start off with Mr. Burns. And as evil as he is, I believe that the word is kind of beneath him. I'm sure that he's not against saying it, but he just wouldn't, you know? He hates everyone equally. So that's surprisingly a no from me. Now, Yubaba is a weird case for me because I can't believe it, but I feel like she's never seen a black man in her life. Wouldn't be surprised if she said it at least once. Simon is an immediate no from me, and shame on you for even including him. Damn, now I can kind of hear him saying it now that I think about it. And Mrs. Puff is within that same scenario of the other SpongeBob characters I've said, which means no. We have Chad Fred from the upcoming CG Scooby-Doo film, and I can tell you right now, as little information we're given about him, he seriously does give off the vibe that he's at least said it once or twice. I wouldn't say that he'll get too crazy with it, but enough to satisfy himself, you know? Like the my best friend is black type deal. PBS classic over here, Hacker from Cyberchase, where you really didn't have an excuse why you picked him, but why not? And at this point, I'm starting to see a trend with some of these entries, where evil guy equals N-word. I can understand the argument for some, but Hacker isn't one of them. Villains like him, Draken, and Dr. Eggman are those wacky characters that have evil schemes, but during their actual lives, they're pretty chill. So I don't think any slurs will be in their vocabulary, in my opinion. That big bully kid from Our Friend Martin. And as many people would think that this is an accurate assumption, he wasn't really showing any race-driven tendencies throughout the film. I mean, yeah, he bullied a black kid, but he bullied a white kid too. And he didn't mention either of the race while doing so. And by the end of the film, he has a redemption to his character. Now, if we were talking about his dad on the other hand, I would 100% agree with you. So I'm going to have to say no on the bully character. Yuck from Yin Yang Yo, the living embodiment of the bad traits that Yin and Yang have. So if racist profiling is one of those traits, then yeah, Yuck will for sure say it. Unfortunately though, within that universe, there is no humans, therefore no blacks, therefore that is a no. Lester from the Cleveland Show. This is a for sure off the bat that many of us can agree with, considering that there's evidence of him saying
Stop! You know the rule. If he has one black friend, he's allowed one free pass on the N-word.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that's true.
That is the rule.
I would say he's a racist, but that would be pushing it a bit since he's friends with Cleveland after all. Bubble Bass from SpongeBob. Well, as much as he has the edgy, racist internet troll vibe to his character, my same statement for all of the SpongeBob characters remain the same. So nope. Valentine suggests Early from Squidbillies, and I'm sure that little know about him, but based on what you've seen, I'm sure that you just expect an aggressive redneck squid that never wants to be crossed by no man. And you'd be right, however, his quirk is that he's so stupid that he wouldn't even know what racism is. Like, there's a literal episode about his support towards the Confederate flag, all because he liked the design. So due to his stupidity, I'm gonna have to say no. Steven Universe is a weird answer for me because although I believe he wouldn't say it at all, something deep down inside of me wants to believe that the older version of him from Future was screaming during the worst case scenario. Like if a big black guy came in, shoved him down, took Connie over the shoulder and then stumped him in the nuts. Like, come on, you couldn't tell me that he wouldn't turn pink and yell slurs. So with that being said, I guess I'll put him in the once column considering it's situational. So we got Bender, Donnie, Demigod, and Miguel and Tulia, huh? Well, Bender would at least say it once or twice in my opinion, but like as a joke or a gag or some kind, and never mention it again. That's just how his humor is though. It wouldn't come off as hateful or anything. Donnie, specifically from Rise of the Ninja Turtles, is probably gonna be a no for me, considering that he and the other turtles admire April too much to even warrant it. Demigod from The Amazing Screw-On Head is probably as niche as they come though, but as far as the character traits that are established within the short, he's just a sophisticated giant antagonist. I don't see much playing into his character whether he said the N-word or not. So I'll just label this as a no, and you probably included him based off the fact that you can hear his voice say it. And lastly, Miguel and Tulio from The Road to El Dorado. They're literally just two idiots who don't have a lick of racism in their bodies. Well, at least towards blacks. So I'll give them a no on their behalf. Oh look, Mrs. Puff again weird. Little Gideon from Gravity Falls is way too sophisticated to just limit himself to the ER variation of the word. He'll probably say it to get under your skin or something, but not as an insult. What he will do, however, is call you a Negro, or refer to your entire race as colored people. So as far as labeling him goes, I'm not sure whether or not to put him in the once column or the racist column. But to support the hatred towards his antagonistic ways, I'm sure that we're all fine just labeling him a racist. This really good cosplayer Brawly from the Dragon Ball series? At least once? Maybe? I don't know. What am I rating here? White Noise from Venture Bros is literally a racist. That is his character. For those who haven't seen the show, he has a straightforward joke stating that he doesn't want black people touching him. So that was an easy one. Points for obscurity though. Another Kevin. Mr. Krabs. Well, as much as I would like to say that he will say it at least once, I have to remain consistent with these SpongeBob characters, so it's an automatic no. BD from Pokemon Sword and Shield is literally the most egotistical, awful person you could ever possibly run into in a Pokemon battle. Sure, you could say that Gary Oak is just as bad, but he's just confident and only mean to Ash. BD, on the other hand, seems like the type of person to beat a black guy in a Pokemon battle and then say the N-word afterwards for an added sting. So he's going into the for sure column to me. Another Froghorn Leghorn. Gumball Watterson, huh? Well, despite how much I dislike what his character turned into towards the end of the series, he doesn't strike me as a racially driven person, nor do I think he's edgy enough to even warrant the use. He'll probably do a bit where he almost says it, but then stops midway through the word, but that's as far as I think he'll go. So I'll just have to say no on this one. His voice actor, however, strikes me as one of those little wild Xbox kids though, so take that as you will. Ezequiel from the Total Drama series would for sure say it. Are you kidding me? His character is literally built off of him saying wrong things all the time. He probably wouldn't even think that he did anything wrong due to how oblivious he is about most situations. Homeschooling really messed this kid up. Tiffany from Adventure Time is probably a no from me. Maybe if Finn was black, he'll probably say it a couple of times, but that's not the case. He does seem like he's on edge all the time though, and he does really enjoy stealing. I don't know guys, I'm on the fence about this one. Cotton Hill from King of the Hill. Yeah, he's probably said it at least once or twice due to his age and when he grew up. But I think his main racism is centered towards the Asians. That doesn't make it any better, but he killed 50, man. Inosuke from Demon Slayer would say it at least once. I mean, his character's gimmick is just a sporadic insult thrower, so maybe a slur can be thrown in there too for certain cases, but I wouldn't say it would be common or anything like that. Aisha from Outlaw Star is literally a black cat, so she's disqualified unfortunately. And even if she wasn't, I wouldn't care cause I mean, look at her. She looked good. Wait, hold up, I ain't the first. Andy the Mayo from Steven Universe. What a picture of Carl right under him. And for those of you who don't know, Andy and Carl share the same voice actor and pretty much the same traits. Now, as far as slurs are concerned, Andy is pretty old school and was pretty quick to call the Gems a bunch of hippies on sight. So I wouldn't be much surprised if he was a racist on the side. And that's where I'm gonna put him. Shin-chan and his mom. I can see Shin-chan saying it and his mom laughing at it the first time, but I'm unsure on how many times he would say it. Probably not much to a controversial level, but enough to where his peers find it annoying and he doesn't think it's funny anymore. So I'm gonna go ahead and put him in the at least once column because the for sure column sounds like too much. Patrick Star is dumb. If he were to say it, he'll probably only say it once to get under your skin after you made him mad about something. But I have to keep up the cycle going with these SpongeBob characters who aren't Sandy, which makes it a no column. Rada, the guy who didn't post a picture, says Mojo. And I'll say this, as evil as Mojo may seem, I don't think his genius will limit him to slurs such as the N-word. He'll probably think of an even more crucial insult to explain your race instead, along with his character-defying babbling that he does. So I'ma say no. This Onward parody, you know, I would firmly believe if there was humans in that world. Yes, I had to watch it to figure it out. No. Jerry's cousin, Muscles, from Tom and Jerry. I can believe it. He gives off a mobster vibe that's all about business, and even though that business is mainly messing up cats, I'm sure that he will do the same to humans. And I wouldn't be surprised by the choice of words he would say to a black human before roughing them up. So I'll go with it at least once. We got a 4-decker here, starting off with the Joker, specifically from Batman the Animated Series. And I'm gonna be honest with you guys, Joker is a lot of things, but he is not a racist. I can't think of any scenario for it to sound natural when he says it, not even if Batman was black. So that's honestly a no from me. The Juggernaut is a big dum-dum, and the only slurs he would be saying is bitch. So no. Those two racist guys from Killer Bean. Well, yeah, they're pretty straightforward. But as much as I want to establish that there should be no racists here because they're all beans, they already established too much for me to think otherwise. For all I know, there could be black beans here. Killer Bean, more like Nick Hal Stewart from Megamind is getting a for sure from me. He gives off a mad keyboard warrior vibe, you know? Like the type of guy who would join a Discord server and immediately say the N-word just to get a rise out of people. I wouldn't say he's racist, just toxic. The entire Alvin and the Chipmunks this time. Haha, very funny guys. Searching videos like this doesn't mean that they'll say the N-word. That's a no from me. Come on now guys. Crap, I can still hear it too. Squidward. Well, if anything, I would believe that Squidward would say Negro instead. He would be too sophisticated to go towards the more vulgar extent. However, these SpongeBob characters get an automatic no off top, so there's no speculating anyway. Peter Griffin already stated. I'll Stouffer from the Face series. For those unaware of the character, it's a guy by the way. He's just a pretty straightforward, enthusiastic, confident anime cliche that a niche internet community adores the trap-like characteristics of. Just think about Naruto with pink hair. There you go. He doesn't give off any racist qualities from what I can tell though, so I'm gonna go ahead and mark this down as a no. DumDum626 included this take, and I'm only including it because of how funny this picture is to me. Eddie from Ed Ed Nitty is a bit of a toughie for me because the way he loosely uses the word pigeon makes me believe that he very much has the N-word card up his sleeve. But I also feel like there isn't a scenario to warrant the word being used either. Like Johnny could be as annoying as possible, but more than likely he'll make fun of his head before anything else. So I kinda wanna say no, but he does have the potential though. This guy just nonchalantly has the hot take that Danny Phantom would say it, making me think that there's no effort put into this decision. He was probably just looking through his images and that was the first thing he saw. Anyways, that's a no. And if you really need a reason why, well, Tucker is his main homie. Get out of here, please. Genie from Aladdin? Nah, he's a nice guy. I mean, could y'all seriously hear Robin Williams saying the N-word? Don't answer that. Definitely Duckman, this guy says. Well, I hate to bust your bubble there, kid, but that definitely you're probably thinking of is Duckman's gimmick of ranting in the show. And unless he's ranting about the blacks, I don't see the word popping up for him anytime soon. Probably once. We have a Smart Hulk here. That ain't a cartoon. Get out of here. We have a Harvey Bullock here. That ain't a cartoon. Get out of here. Dexter from Dexter's Laboratory could say it due to his social ignorance. He's a man of science, not a man of history. He'll probably hear some word without context and use it regardless if he's talking to a black person or not. And this can work for both the A and the ER versions of the word too. I can honestly see a whole episode on this. And for that, I'll put him in the at least once column. Like, just imagine how oblivious he'll be when everyone gets mad at him. This Danganronpa buff quotes that Nagiru Kamita would say the word. And for those who don't know the character, he has way too many characteristics to explain. From his good luck and bad luck powers to his rapid dementia and memory loss. But one thing I can tell you is that he's optimistic and oblivious in most situations. And he's pretty much a nice guy, so I don't see him saying any mean-spirited words like that in his vocabulary. So that'll be a no. And his anime expert asked him Japanese count while inputting his entry Jotaro Kujo from... you know where he's from. And as much of a delinquent he is in the series, I wouldn't call him a racist. He literally fights alongside a black man in the series. That wouldn't even occur if he had any slurs in his mind. So that'll be a no. Azula from Avatar The Last Airbender is a for sure. I mean, she uses fear as her ultimate trait towards victory, and she always strives to rule with an iron fist. So why not add a couple of slurs in there too for downplay as she takes over your kingdom? You can't do anything, and she knows that. I wouldn't call her racist though, just a bitch. Karen Took the Kid states that diamonds yellow and white wouldn't hesitate to hard R. And I can believe that. Hell, I can believe that as soon as they're taught the word, they will just call all the humans that because they love the word so much. That's a for sure out the gate. Amber the Ember gave this amazing analysis on why her pick would be Kichi from Carnival. And I'ma just go ahead and believe her because Lord knows I haven't seen that obscure anime. Perfect Cell from the Dragon Ball series could care less about racism and slurs, considering that he's the perfect being who will destroy you regardless. He's so focused on power to the point that anything else about you is rendered meaningless if you aren't as strong as he is. So that draws it down to a no. The Shlom says, what the hell is that thing? Ew. Now we have my boy Krunk from Cusco's New Groove tossed into the slur fest. Now based on his characteristics, believe it or not, he would at least say it once, due to his meathead qualities. I can't help but think that if he was told the word once, he would say it several times to himself slowly before coming down to the decision that he doesn't like the word. So yeah, he's not racist in any way, nor is he saying it to anyone. He'll just be Krunk. This guy casually says Finn from Adventure Time, and that's an immediate nah from me. Saying insults like that is literally not what his character is about, because he mainly calls people butts or turd. Any words more harmful than that is just not Finn. Another Mr. Krabs, someone's Bunny OC. You know what? I can see it. In you go. Another Squidward, a collage of mean Jerry faces from Tom and Jerry. What is his list turned into? Oh cool, a serious one. We have Mr. Wunsler from the Boondocks. Yeah, he's a racist and pretty straightforward about it.
I admire entrepreneurship in young people.
You mean like them 12-year-old girls who work in your sweatshops in Indonesia?
That's right. Every morning I wake up and put one foot on the ground and the other up the ass of a 12-year-old Indonesian girl.
Next is, who is... Oh, Hawkeye from the Avengers United They Stand series. And after analyzing the series for a bit for this entry, I gotta say that Hawkeye is a downright hard ass in this show. And even though he works alongside a black man, I still think he just might say it once or twice, taking out colored grunts or something, just to get his adrenaline going. Larry the Cucumber from Veggietales. No. Do-Wah Diddy from Butt Ugly Martians. What the hell am I doing? Well, to answer this one seriously, for those who haven't watched the show, Do-Wah is the dumb one of the three, which should go without saying that he doesn't have a racist bone in his body, but his ignorance towards the word could be apparent. But even that scenario isn't written considering that he's friends with a black guy as well. So that's ultimately a no. Dixie Kong from Donkey Kong Country is a no, and there's literally no incentive for her to even do so, because there is no humans where she lives. Coconut Fred is something I can firmly believe. That man is nuts. I'm sure he would do anything to stay relevant. So that's a clear for sure for me. Muffy Crosswire from Arthur. Unfortunately, as posh as she is, I still have to take my same stance I did with Binky, which is an automatic no. Butch Hartman, hold up, let me fix this. Okay, at least once. Interesting, we have 3 submissions coming from Xavier Gordon here, where he says Mortimer Mouse, Eddie's brother, Bakugo, all of these awful people, would they say the demonetization word? The answer might shock you. Mortimer Mouse from House of Mouse would probably say it once or twice with confidence before being dumbfounded that he's being assaulted after saying it. He's usually the type of person to say something foul and get beat up anyway. Now, Eddie's brother, on the other hand, is a bit tricky because I couldn't get a definite read on the guy for how much he will use the word. One side of me wants to believe that he says it once or twice for the sake of being edgy, while another part of me wants to believe that he uses the word more than that, just because he's an arrogant douche. I would throw that he's a racist in there too, but that's a bit of a stretch for me. Sure, he's mean, but he's not that mean. But I might have to settle this for the for sure column, because frequent use teams up his alley.
Yeah, are you in there?
What do you want, Ma?
And Bakugo from My Hero Academia's use of the word would be for strictly intimidation. He'll use any word against you if you say something foul to him. His hothead tendencies literally speaks for itself, so I'm gonna limit his use to probably once or twice. Gru from Despicable Me. Nah, Gru isn't a racist in any shape or form. If anything, he would shun a villain for their use of the word, all things considered. Now the Minions, on the other hand, another Muscle Man, Big Bird. Now I know y'all playing with me. However, I will say at least once, because he might be doing one of those episodes where he tells kids that is bad. But Sesame Street ain't a cartoon. Is it? Another Beastars character, huh? Go figure. Uncle Ruckus is black. Captain Hero from Drawn Together. Well, let me just go ahead and spice it up by saying everyone from Drawn Together is racist. All of them. Even the black one. That's how the show was. Facts. Perry also includes characters from Disgaea, Zontan, Tagiro from Yu Yu Hakusho, and Salem from Ruby. Lahal and Etna are two overconfident 1,000-year-old ankle biters. They strive to always one-up each other regardless of the situation. So with that being said, how does a couple of characters like these fare towards the N-word? I would say at least once or twice. Like, they'll say the word without knowing the context of it. So they'll more than likely say it to each other rather than an actual black person. Zontan isn't racist in any way. She probably prefers to watch you flap even more if you were black. So that's a nah. Taguro is the coldest fighter alive, and he doesn't need to rely on petty insults. The closest he'll get is saying something witty before exploding your insides with 5% of his power. So that's a no. And Salem is way too regal and collective for slurs of any kind. She'll just call you weak or something along those lines regardless of your race, which makes that entry a no as well. We have literally an anime girl with the word on the shirt, so I can't argue with that. Hanamura Yusuke says Yosuke Hanamura from the Persona series. Now I'm not sure whether this is a joke or not due to the picture's caption, but Yosuke is that classic anime ladies man. Not the one who gets the ladies, the one that talks about them. You know the one I mean.
Oh yeah, boobs man. What kind of panties is she wearing?
He's not a full-fledged perv, but you get it. So calling him a racist of any kind is very out of character, which brings me to the no side of things. And last but not least, we have the most racist comment to end the thread off with isn't even that funny. Coon is far funnier. And I'm not sure where this fits in the column. So with that being said, this is where we're left off with our list of the N-word usage in the animation field. Hard to believe that this entire video started from just one random Discord message from Ostrovox of the Roundtable, where he states,
Vicky was probably saying in the hallways. That's crazy.
And after 40 minutes later, here we are. If you took the time out of your day to power through this monstrosity of a video, I can't thank you enough. I set aside a lot of projects and time to bring you this very informative information. If you commented on someone else's post with an entry of your own, you probably didn't make it in because you were supposed to post it on my post, dummy. Sorry about that. And that wraps everything up. Be sure to commission my boy Catbit, the man responsible for my character art. And we should be back to a regularly scheduled program for this channel. Should. Like, don't hold me to that, cause I be bullshitting. So, amen.